This is Elemental Conversations, where leadership isn't just talked about, it's tested. I'm Tyler, your host, helping you lead with your values, push through adversity, roll with change, and make bold decisions. New episodes every Monday. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and if you're ready to challenge the status quo, then get ready to let the alchemy of education ignite your passion for learning.
Fire, earth, wind, water. This is the Elemental Educator, and now your host, Tyler Como.
Steve, aka Stand Tall Steve, is a nationally recognized speaker, author, and former superintendent and principal, known for transforming school culture and inspiring leadership. A Jostens Renaissance Hall of Fame inductee and one of the Global Guru's top 30 education professionals of 2023, Steve brings energy, creativity, and proven strategies to every stage he steps on. With awards like the Visionary Leadership Award and South Jersey's Top 20 Men of the Year, Steve's impact spans schools, businesses, and communities worldwide. He's the author of Stand Tall Leadership, the Ideas series, and contributor to Because of a Teacher. A husband, father of three, and proud pet parent, Steve infuses every talk with heart, humor, and actionable insight. Welcome to the Elemental Educator podcast, Stand Tall Steve. It is a pleasure to have you here today.
That's right. Hey, man, I appreciate this. This is going to be great. Love the intro. That was awesome.
And I want to jump right in, Steve, by asking, how did you get to where you are now?
Woo! How did I get to where I am now, man?
Yeah, the big one right away.
Yeah, you're jumping right into it. Well, professionally wise, okay, let's get, I started my career off as an art teacher. I taught art, pre-K to third grade art, little tiny people. Now, just so everybody knows, I go by the name of Stand Tall Steve because I am a tall person. I'm 6'7". I'm a big guy. So big guy, look like a ball player, but I taught pre-K to third grade art, little tiny people, right out of college. Loved it. 7 years doing that. Moved on to become a assistant principal at a middle school. And then after being an assistant principal at a middle school, then I moved on to get my first principalship. Now, while I was a building principal, while I was a building administrator, I really got into the environment of a school, the climate culture of a school. I was really looking to see what the environment could do to help make instruction better, learning better, not just feel good to come into the building, but all those type of things. So I really started getting into the art of public speaking. I was someone who just loved being in front of people. So I started doing a little bit of speaking here on the side, a bit here, a bit more. And then I was at this one school, Mount Laurel, New Jersey, Hartford Upper Elementary School. I was there for 8 years. And the environment, all the things that I was learning about culture and climate really was put into play. And we had a great environment. We had people coming to visit to see what our school was like. What was, why is it this way? And it was very purposeful. So from there, again, I started speaking more and more because my name is Steve. I stand tall. We have the name. And then I became an assistant superintendent, and I kept speaking and more people kept asking. So eventually, this is now going on 8 years that I do this full time, speaking, training, consulting, coaching in K-12 education on 3 things: culture, climate, leadership development, idea development. And that's it. That's how I got to where I am.
I love the energy you put into the story because there's clear passion behind it. And your first point on culture climate is actually going to segue us really nicely into one of our first segments of the show of our earth element and our core values. And so let's get into grounded moments.
3, 2, 1.
Rooted in wisdom, driven by purpose. Welcome to Grounded Moments. And Steve, to build some momentum here, we're going to play a game. And the game is called Principle or Preference. And so I'm going to give you a statement, and you just have to let me and our Alchemist listeners know if it's a principle, which is something that everybody should live by, it's a core value to people, or if it's a preference, meaning, it doesn't matter if everybody adopts what I just said.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, rapid fire. There's no time for explanations after. Ready to go?
Let's do it.
Leaders should always be the best listeners in the room.
Principle.
Staff group chats should stay professional, no memes.
Preference.
You should take one full day off from every week. Sorry, let me try that again. You should take one full day off from email every week.
Preference.
Every team meeting should start with a win or a celebration.
Preference. That's a preference.
You should never eat lunch at your desk.
Oh, that's a preference. That's up to you.
Students should call teachers by their last names only.
Oh, that's a definite. That's a, what's the other P?
Principal.
Principal. That's a definite principle. Yeah.
Leaders should always share their summer reading list.
Preference.
Every classroom needs a motivational poster.
It should be a principle, but it's a preference.
July should be completely school-free for educators.
Let's go. Preference.
And every decision should be backed by data.
Preference again.
There we go. Lots of preferences, which is going to lead us into this culture you've established. And I think I know why we get the answers we get here, but I'm going to let us have an opportunity to unpack it together. And with that, it's a hint into what we value. It's a hint into what we stand for. And with that, let's talk about the quote that you shared before coming on the show, which is, when you stand tall, you don't think small. And what I'd like to know, Steve, is where did the quote come from and why did you choose to bring it onto the show today?
Okay, yeah, that quote, it connects a couple of different things. First of all, where I got it from, I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember. I have gone back to try to see, where did that quote come from? I even typed it into Google or chat, and it doesn't tell me who came up with the quote. But I got it for a couple of reasons. One, my name is Stand Tall Steve. I do stand tall. It kind of works well. But the purpose of that is all about the learning. It's about growing. When you learn something new, when you get new knowledge, new understanding, new awareness, you are metaphorically standing taller. You have more. You are more aware, like, oh, I get it. So when you're standing taller, you can't think less than. You can't think smaller. And if you do, to be honest with you, shame on you. Shame on you. How are you going to have this knowledge and stand taller and then start thinking smaller? So when you stand tall, you don't think small. You don't think less than. Me as a tall person, I see things a certain way in the world. Like tall people, we have a different view in the world, right? If we're in a crowd, we can see over the crowd. We can see where things are going. We're not going to start looking smaller and seeing things less than if we have the ability to do so. So that's where it all comes from, is because when we go to PD, we go to training, we learn more about other people, we develop bigger relationships. If you have that knowledge, put it into play. Don't ignore it. Stand taller. That's what it's all about.
And that's kind of where I thought we were going from all those preferences, is the idea of, why do we care what people want to do, and let them learn and figure it out their own way, and stand with them and support them in what they're trying to do. And so, I appreciate the message. It's a powerful one. It's a good thing cameras show us at the same height level, because there would be a huge mismatch here, because I'm obviously way taller. I think I'm like 10 feet, but no. What I want to know, Steve, is you kind of alluded to this a bit when you talked about professional development, but how does this quote show up for you in your workflow?
It shows up for me because when we're pulling information, when we're preparing to when I'm preparing to share, when I'm working with the school or a district, I am trying my best to give everything that I have. I'm giving all the options that are possible, trying to guide them the best. The work that is being done as it relates to culture and climate in schools, and not just me, many of the consultants and the educators that are out there that are helping other schools, other districts and such, the push behind us, the inspiration behind us, it's not money, all right? It's to help the world of education to become better. I want environments in schools to be better purposefully so that they can get the best outcomes for the students in the world of education. Connecting it to this quote, standing tall, having that bigger end idea, knowing better, that's my reasoning for going and doing all of this work. I know better, I see better, and I want you to be able to know better and see better, and do what is necessary for your school, for your kids, for the community.
So it's definitely rooted in an idea of relationships, rooted in a value of love for others. With all of that, is there a non-negotiable that you've kind of established and you live by that, has kind of driven the purpose for you to keep moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, everybody should, as do I, have values. There should be a set of values that guide your behaviors and actions, because that's what values are. A set of beliefs and beliefs that guide your behaviors and your actions. Um, the three values that I hold dear to: teamwork, integrity, accountability. Teamwork, integrity, accountability. Teamwork, working with other people, working well with other people. So no matter what it is that I'm doing, non-negotiable, I want to team up with other people to see what they know, share with them, other people, how they can make things happen. Teamwork, integrity. Integrity is a set of is beliefs, values, and actions that other people can depend on. A set of beliefs, values, and actions other people can depend on. What is it that I believe? What are those actions? And I want people to depend on that, whether I'm there or I'm not. They know this is what Steve is all about. And then accountability. If I say I'm going to do something, let's do it. And I like to try my best to hold other people that I'm working with in teamwork, the very first one, hold them to a standard of accountability. So those three things, they mean a lot. Those are non-negotiables, so that I can go out there and give my very best to the schools that I'm working with.
A former guest on the show brought in a quote that the smartest person in the room is the person trying to solve a problem. And when you were sharing your three values here, it made me think very closely back to that moment and back to, the idea of the collaborative process. And so it's nice to hear, values as humans, we're meant to interact with each other. And so to center them around that interaction is something very powerful, very important. And it can create these moments of, like we've said, helping other people stand tall and rise up to those occasions. Now, Steve, have you heard of an elevator pitch before?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
All right. So 10 to 20 seconds here. What I want you to do is pitch the idea of the message from your quote, this idea of standing tall, supporting where you are in your moment. And so I'm going to give you 10 to 20 seconds to just share with our audience why this is so important to them. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
All right.
Hey, when you stand tall, you don't think small. Everybody goes through life. Everybody has situations where you are learning new things. You're getting new understandings. And if you're getting those new understandings, you are metaphorically standing taller. You have a new outcome. And of course, all of us, we want to make sure that we're connecting with other people, building great integrity, and having accountability. Take that knowledge, take the heart and the love that you have, and make it better for others. You can do this. When you stand tall, you don't think small.
That was so great, Steve. I loved it. That was awesome. And, with that, we're going to talk about how we stand tall through adversity and shift our segment here to our air element and get into headwinds and tailwinds. Through storms and surges, discover the lessons from headwinds and tailwinds, where we focus on the challenges that test us and the forces that help us move forward. And Steve, we're at a new element, so we're going to play a new game here. And this game is called Make It Worse, which maybe isn't ideal for what we're doing here, but we're going to have fun with it and try anyway.
Let's do it.
I'm going to give you something that's gone wrong. And in the quickest way, the first thing that comes to mind possible, I want you to make that scenario a little bit worse than what just happened.
All right.
So the first one here is you miss your alarm on the first day of school.
You get up, you get dressed fast, and then you stub your toe in the corner of the dresser. You're on the ground.
I have
loaded.
done that before, and it's not fun. You accidentally double book 2 keynote speakers.
Ooh. You accidentally book 2 keynote speakers, and you lose your voice that morning.
That would be, or they both, right? And you don't have the backup.
Yeah.
Right?
Have laryngitis. Yeah.
All right. You confuse 2 student names on award night.
Confuse 2 student names, and you lost your coffee.
You lost your coffee. And you lost your coffee. Love it. All right. And we'll do one more here. Your motivational speech includes the wrong school name.
Oh, and you say the wrong town and wrong state.
Yeah, that would be a tough one. All right. And not our idea to like to make things worse, but to see where things can go. We talk about adversity and how it can be an opportunity for growth. And what I'd like to know first, Steve, is can you share a moment of adversity that you have faced? And what's the moment where, you were this close to giving up and just didn't and pushed through?
Well, I had a situation when I was a building principal. All right, I was a building principal, upper elementary school. The building was fifth and sixth grade only. We had 1,200 kids, just two grades. At the end of the year, I had two assistant principals. The one assistant principal was leaving to go get another job. Congratulations, way to go for her. But one of the jobs that she had every summer was she's the one who best organized all of our data so that we can identify which kids would go to which math, higher level math. We had 3 levels of math, 2 grade levels ahead, 1 grade level ahead, and then regular math. But she had to roll. I'm like, okay, I can do this. All right, new VP is coming in. The other VP was on vacation. It's summertime. I can do this. Mind you, I'm dyslexic and I have dyscalculia. But anyway, so I get the list. I start putting it all together, and I realize we have so many kids have made the 2 different levels of math. Oh my gosh, we did great. Our data's awesome. I was going through, I put it all together. I double checked it as best that I could, sent out the letters to all the parents. Congratulations. Come to find out, no, I was wrong with all of my data. I was not even a little bit wrong. I was a lot wrong. Oh man, I had all these kids that were moved up to these. I already sent letters. How do you go back and tell parents, no, your kid is not as bright as you thought? That, all the things. Got written up by the superintendent, rightfully so. I didn't argue it. The math supervisor, like, why didn't you share it with me? I could have double checked it. Anyway. So I wanted to give up. I was just like, I'm done. The teachers came to me. What are we going to do? I said, you know what? No, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stay with it. We're going to keep these kids in these higher level math. We're going to teach up the teachers so we have more teachers that can teach the higher level math. We're not going to dummy down the curriculum. We're going to zoom in and we're going to tell these kids that they deserve to be here. At the end of the year, we had the highest test scores ever. Not one kid failed. They all passed. And they didn't just pass. All the kids blew it out of the water. It made me realize we made the kids believe that they could do it. And they did. I messed up. I did. I ruined up the data, didn't do it right. But I made the teachers believe that they could do it. We made the kids believe that they could do it. And they did it.
Did your write-up letter get taken away after that?
Yeah, well, no, it didn't get taken away after that. They have a whole thing where any write-up letter that's in your file has to stay there for 3 years before you can put a request in to take it out. I'm like, all right. I said, I could take it. I'll take it. And then after 3 years, because I was there for a few more years, and I said, could we please have it removed? And it was. So yeah.
It's almost like a wrong name on awards night. And wow, what a way to go with it. And good for you for shifting mindset. Yeah. And that's it's a very difficult thing to shift. And with that, was there a moment of clarity where you said, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to make this shift?
Oh, definitely. I had my pity party in my office, man. I was in my office, hand on head, elbows down, like, oh my gosh, I've ruined this community, I've ruined this town. And then I just sat there and I started thinking, I said, okay, what can we do about this? How can we still make this as good as possible? And I said, you know what? These kids can do this. We have an electric, amazing environment here. Let's do this. And I pulled in my vice principals that I had at the time, the math supervisor, and I said that, and they were just like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, we can do this. And it was just, I had to do my going down before I pulled myself back up.
And everyone needs an anchor to stay grounded during that adversity. What was yours, Steve?
My anchor? I guess prayer, and I wasn't just praying because I was in trouble, but your prayer, your values. Teamwork. I brought the team back together. We talked it through. Integrity. I had accountability. I told these parents that their kids are going to be in these. We have to do that. I go back to my values a lot and making decisions in how I move forward with things.
And I interviewed Tom Buck not too long ago, but since he shared this message, it's stuck with me every time we get to this segment. And it's the idea of, from a pilot standpoint, a headwind might slow you down, but a headwind is what gives you the lift to get off of the ground. And so facing that headwind is that opportunity to pick yourself up and get yourself going. So for people facing their own headwinds, what's one thing they can do to keep moving forward despite that storm they're facing?
Yeah. When you're facing those storms, self-talk is very, very important. You have to be able to talk to yourself positively. Because sometimes we can tear ourselves down so easily, so quickly. We could, I can't believe I did this. I'm so dumb. No. Okay, you did it. What can we do? Think things through. Slow down. Come on, Steve. You got this. You know, a good friend of mine, he's a speaker. His name's Willie Jolly. He has a book. When a setback is a setup for a comeback, and that's what it is. If you have a headwind or you have something that sets you up, it's a setback. It's just a setup for a comeback. That's how you can come back up. But you got to be able to talk to yourself, slow yourself down, think clearly, to have those positive affirmations to yourself, so that you can get back in and make it happen.
And speaking about that shift we make, we start to get into our next elemental segment, which is our water segment, as we start to talk about ripples of change. Small shifts, big waves. This is Ripples of Change, where we dive into the power of embracing change and making waves that last. And Steve, another element, another game. This one is the opposite of our make it worse. We're going to give some quick tips to make some things better or to take things to the next level, okay?
Love it. Let's do it.
So what's a quick tip for onboarding new staff members?
Oh, bring them in individually and let them know how valued they are. And then you can make that personal connection with them. And then continue to have those times that you say, we're going to reconnect again, just to check in on them.
And be accountable to that, follow up on that.
Hugely.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you keep your team energized in the last month of school?
Oh, last month of school. Last month of school, never do a countdown. Don't do a countdown. Instead, use each day and pick a positive word instead of a countdown. And therefore, you're keeping everybody focused on positivity and focus.
What's a good must do in every school leader's summer routine?
Must do in a summer routine, take time off. Use that time, recharge yourself. Go, don't take the laptop, don't answer emails. Just go, be with family, be alone, do something, get that recharge.
And what's a quick tip for how to handle being publicly criticized?
Publicly criticized is don't answer right away. Listen to what's been said, all right? Repeat back to everyone what it is that you heard if you have to say something. And then take your time, think through what the proper answer would be, response. Because usually that snap response isn't always the best response.
And what's the easiest way to check your ego as a leader?
Look in the mirror and talk to yourself. I did that a lot. Because sometimes, especially when things are going well, you think, hey, I'm all that. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror and say, hey, you're doing okay. Hey, get yourself straight. Come on. I love that, talking to yourself, especially when you look in the mirror and you see yourself as if someone that you can counsel. I think that's important.
And with those quick tips, we start to talk about, the little small actions we can make when we're making change. But Steve, what's a recent change that you've embraced or led?
A change that I've had, we've been, in my business, we're shifting and we're making a newer process for educators. When I go out and I speak and I train, I get a lot of educators who come to me and they say, how do you do this? How do you speak? How do you get into consulting? So we shifted and we started providing training for educators who want to speak professionally. So we help educators learn how to do this. So yes, I do my speaking, training, consulting in schools to help them become better. And then I know that there's so many amazing educators out there who have good knowledge, who have things that can help education move better, but they just don't know how to do it. So that's how I created Within Our Ranks. Within Our Ranks is training for educators who want to speak professionally. So that's a shift that we've done. That's different.
And it's a unique shift and a powerful one. And whenever we make a shift or a change, it comes down to those two key moments. That first step you have to take to start the change, and then the final couple steps you're doing to really make it stick. So what step would you say you're on, and what was your intentional first step?
Well, let's say that let's do it backwards here. The intentional first step that I did was to talk to other people that are in my close circle. What do you think of this? Does this make sense? How do you feel about this? Is this something of value? Because that's my whole thing. Provide value, invite engagement. That's what I want. Do I want to get value? How does this resonate with other people? And so that's what I'm looking to do, is get that connection. And then that critical first step, the critical first step is then to actually do something. I started grabbing some educators that I knew who might be interested in it, and I started to train them. Just do it. Yeah, it's like, well, I need to get a curriculum together. I got to find, you know what? I'm going to start training people. And I told them, look, I'm doing this training. We're building this plane while it's in the air. Are you okay to come with me? Yes. It's that fear of just getting started. Because again, you can talk yourself out of a lot of things. Step into it. And if it doesn't go perfectly, which it didn't, it's okay. don't just run away from it. Let's make an adjustment. Let's make a change. We can do this, that kind of thing.
I love that. And Steve, have you ever changed your mind completely on something you used to be so certain about?
I'm sure that I have. I need to ponder just for a moment on this one. Yeah, when I became an administrator from a teacher, yeah, I had my mindset on how budgets and how people held their money. And when you become an administrator, you're like, oh gosh, no, that is not how this works. I had to completely shift. And it's more of an awareness. You know what I mean? Once you become aware, and again, keep your mind open as to what things are and what things could really be. And as you build that awareness, be open to what new ideas and thoughts might be. So that was a pretty drastic one for me, just having that clear understanding of what really makes a district or a school run.
And with those changes, whether they're what we think, what we don't think, whether it's a change that we've sought out or a change that's been more imposed on us, you're coming up with ways to tackle these on and face them and confront them with value and confront them with purpose.
Yeah.
And you've done this in some books that have come out, and I'm just hoping you can maybe take a minute to share a little bit about the books that you have out, maybe one that's coming out, and where people can find them.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I have a few different books that are out. Probably some of my most popular book is Ideas, Ideas, Ideas. It's published by Jostens. Yes, the people that do the caps, gowns, rings, yearbooks, and things like that. Ideas, Ideas, Ideas. You can get it from them. It's a plethora of ideas to improve the climate and culture in schools. So this is like a reference book. You go back to it again and again and again and again. You can get all these different ideas. One of my other ones is Stand Tall Leadership. You get that on Amazon. Stand Tall Leadership is for all your school leaders, whether you're a teacher leader, parent leader, school leader, administrator. It really helps leaders move through the process of understanding leadership, leading a school for climate and culture, for a better environment to get the outcomes that you want. I'm a guest author for the book Because of a Teacher, also on Amazon. And I also have a couple of books called 10-Minute Classroom Openers. Now, there's a K through 5 one and a 6 through 12 one. Tina Dietrich and I, she's a friend of mine, co-authored this. And it is great ideas to get kids going in the beginning of a class. All those cool ideas. Now, you mentioned books recently coming out. My latest book is this one called Just Do This. I'm really, really excited about Just Do This, The Educator's Guide to Improving Climate and Culture at the Classroom, School, and District level. Now, the purpose of this book is because we always try to do things either at the classroom or just at the district. This is everyone. So in here, it tells you how to develop an amazing culture and climate, purposeful. And then it shows you at the end of each chapter, this is what you do in the classroom. This is how you do it in the building. This is how you do it in the district. So this one just came out. It's on Amazon. I'm really excited about it. Just Do This. Thank you for the opportunity to share that, man.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And that last book, Just Do This, it really sounds like you're trying to take the bridge between that top down, bottom up and say, this is how it works as an entire system. You often hear that change has to come from the bottom up or that grassroots foundation, but it has to be everybody on board. And so to create something that shows how everybody gets on board, I think is really powerful. Yes. And with that, Steve, people often worry that change won't last. So what's one thing that you're doing to make sure that, the work you do becomes a part of culture rather than just a trend?
It has to be purposeful. That's what it is. You don't want it to just be, oh, this is what it is right now. Climate and culture specifically, the environment within a school, either if you're not purposeful with it, it's going to just morph however you want it to be. And that's how we end up with schools where teachers like the morale is low here. The kids are all over the place and, we can't get the teaching done or the community doesn't like us. It's something that is very, very purposeful. So when I work specifically with a lot of schools and organizations, especially on the consulting side, we go into the calendar and we says, okay, we're gonna focus right here, here, here. This way it's ongoing because a lot of times what happens in schools, we talk about some fun things at the beginning of the school year, right after the blood-borne pathogens presentation, and then we don't talk about it anymore. And then your school leaders are banging their heads against the wall come February. How come they're not doing this? How often are we talking about our values? How often are we talking about our vision? How often are we talking about purposely moving forward to climate and culture? That's what it is. A lot of times we just start things. We don't purposely look at the calendar, say this is when we're going to keep focusing on this and make sure that it's not just a trend. It's going to stick.
That's right. And the word manifesting has almost become cliche now, but the idea of daily conversation and bringing something up continuously, you know, we say you need to do math daily, you need to do writing daily, because that's how you ingrain those things and those skills and those habits to be better at them. Well, then we also need to have daily conversations about what we want to do. And we need to have daily conversations about where we want to go, because that function is the exact same process. And with these decisions, we start to talk about those big decisions and those bold decisions, which is going to bring us to our fire element and our last segment here on Spark or Burn. Ignite your ideas, face the flames. This is Spark or Burn, where we talk about bold decisions, big risks, and the fires that either spark success or burn lessons into our memory. And Steve, our last elemental segment here, so we have one more game to play. This game is called Final Answer. There's one choice, no regrets. You just kind of have to lock in the this or that. Are you ready?
Let's try it. Let's do it, buddy.
All right, coffee before work or coffee all day?
Before work.
Leading a staff meeting or teaching a class?
I like staff meetings.
Professional development indoors or on a patio?
Patio.
July getaway or a staycation?
Getaway.
Personal growth book or a beach novel?
Personal growth book.
Open office door or booked calendar blocks?
Open door.
Morning huddle or afternoon debrief?
Morning huddle.
Summer shorts or business casual?
Summer shorts.
Plan the year or rest your brain?
Plan the year.
And delegation or do it yourself?
Delegate, delegate, delegate. Get the team involved.
There we go. And so some quick decisions that we have to make. No reason and no time for explanations. You locked them in. You got to live with them. And I think we'll be okay. Yeah. Steve, what I want to know is, what is one of the wildest yeses? Yes? Plural for yes? Yeah. You've ever said, and what happened next?
One of the wildest yeses, and what happened next? I know this sounds good. I had a teacher come to me and was like, I think he says, I'd love to do a talent show. Like, I remember I was just standing in the office. Hey, I would love to do a talent show. It'd be so great. I said, yes, do it. Like, I didn't even think about it. I was like, yes. And like, I thought he was joking. He organized the most amazing talent show I ever saw in my life. I was like, this is like, American Idol on steroids. It was incredible. He did a wonderful, amazing job. I was just like, yes, go for it, do it. That whole little bit of empowering the staff and things like that. But I didn't think that it was going to be, what it is that I saw. So that was kind of cool. I
love hearing those stories because, you really get to see when you let somebody pursue something they're passionate about. I bet you his investment in the rest of his day was also very high because he was motivated to be there as well, or whoever it was organizing that show. But when you let somebody take charge of something they're passionate about, the other things around them, they do with more passion as well, because that passion starts to drive through them, infuse through them. So to hear that story of saying yes to somebody there, it is powerful, and it is what they do. And I hope you can attest that the rest of their workflow that was around them also rose up to that too.
Oh yeah, he took off. I would say you're absolutely right. He took off. His energy was exciting, and he just kind of flourished. And I'd say he ended up taking some leadership positions within the teachers union and doing some other cool things.
That's awesome. And Steve, what's something you almost talked yourself out of doing, but you're glad you didn't?
Oh, I almost wasn't an administrator. I was an art teacher, man. I paint, draw. I played music every period. I had the best job ever. And I had an observation by my principal. Did the observation. It went well. We had our post-observation. He sat me down, chatted me up. I was like, okay. I was getting up to leave, and he says, oh, Steve, before you go, now mind you, I'm a young guy, brand newer teacher-ish. Steve, one more thing. Make sure you go back to school and get your master's and everything. And I says, okay, thank you. Sure thing, Dr. Graham. He says, hold on, sit down. I'm like, what? He says, I don't like the way you answered that. I'm like, what? He says, Steve, I'm serious. Go back, get your master's, da-da-da. He was kind of leaning in on me to be, he's mentoring me. And I said to him, Dr. Graham, I don't know what I want to get my master's in. I don't even know what I want to do beyond being teacher. He says, well, you could be, you could do this, you could do this, you could be a principal, you could do that. I said, whoa, I could be a principal? He's like, yeah, you could be a principal. I'm an art teacher. He says, art teachers can be principals. I'm like, oh my gosh. So the remainder of the year, I looked at administrators to see what they were really like. And I realized I hate administration. There is no way I'm going to do this. This is the worst job in the world. For what I do now? Are you kidding me? And I started to think about that. I was like, I was done. But then I realized, you know what? No, I'm going to do that because I don't like administration. I'm going to bring creativity to administration.
That's right.
No, I can do this. Best decision ever made.
Yeah.
Best decision ever made.
Yeah. One of the most powerful things that I believe in that I do is, you just observe the people around you and you take note of what they do and what they don't do and what you wish you would do. And if you get put in that moment, how would you respond? And it actually prepares you, and it's that proactive prep. And so for you to do that, that's a huge role to take on, and such a smart decision to take on, to say, hey, if I ever get here, here's what I want to take on. It's clear from your story before that to this story that there's a lot of passion in what you do, Steve. Can you share a story with this where your passion totally took over, for better or for worse?
Oh man, my passion. My passion and desire just for climate culture, for people, it is huge. Again, at the school where I was, we had 1,200 kids. And one year at my school, we had 7 type 2 diabetic students in my building. 7 of them. Now, many schools, if you have 1, it's a big deal. But 7, it's a lot, especially for the school nurse to be able to maintain and make sure they're okay and all those things. So with this, what we did is we connected with JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And we said, hey, let's do a kids walk. Now, a kids walk is, all the kids, they get donations and we'll do a walk in support of juvenile diabetes and giving money to JDRF. So I felt passionate about this because of how many kids that we had. So we ended up, we connected with the JDRF. We had a little assembly, getting everybody pumped up about it. We had a challenge. Whoever the top boy and girl who do it, they get to put pie in my face on the last day of school. Whichever class did it the best, we had pizza parties for them. We did this and it went over so well. We ended up doing it again for the next 4 years. We were the #1 kids walk school for JDRF in the country. We raised over $76,000 for juvenile diabetes. And it's because I felt the power, the need to bring our community together, do something for the greater good of everyone, especially those type 2 diabetics. Let them know that they're seen and they're heard. And I ended up being on their board. It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful.
That's an incredible story. And to hear what you've done for a community, it's very uplifting. It's definitely, you talk about the idea of standing tall, and to hear the stories, it's your action of how you've stood tall. And so it's good to see that the words are to action, and that there's the success behind it and the impact behind it. Now, Steve, bold decisions, they can be intimidating. How would you encourage the people listening to take bold decisions, build that muscle in saying yes, or taking a risk, or even saying no sometimes to those things?
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's sometimes the bold decision is to have a hard no. It's like, no, part of it is that you have to understand yourself. All right. You have to make sure that you have the reflection. You know where your limits are. And sometimes you need to push past those limits. See who your circle of influence is, or the people that are in your inner circle. Who are your support group? And when you look at your inner circle, you have an understanding of who you are and what you're all about. And then don't discount those feelings, right? You got to have that passion, that feeling, that burning that's inside that can move you forward. And sometimes saying no to something is a part of that moving forward. It's like, no, this is not me. I have a TED Talk that I did. I did a TED Talk, and the title of my TED Talk is Why Me? Why Me? And it kind of takes me through my life. I'm dyslexic. I have dyslexia. And it went everything from when I was much younger to why me? Why am I the one getting picked to do this? Why me? And then it moved from why me to why not me? Wait a second. Why not me? Why can't I do this? I can do this and I can make this happen. I see everybody else doing this. Why not me? And then it moves even further as I get more mature to why it's not me. Why you push certain things away, because now I'm at a point where now I know what it is that I want. I know what my powers are, and this is not me. So it's why me, moan and groan, complain, to why not me? I could take a stab at it, to why this is not me. This is who I am.
And, this is a good point to bring up too. alchemists listening, if you are interested in the books that we've mentioned so far in the show, if you're interested in seeing the TED Talk, just make sure you check the show notes of this episode, and we'll have everything linked down there for you to go check out, purchase, or even watch and collect. I know I'll probably revisit it a few times myself, but thank you for sharing. And that's a really, really good message and a good shift in mindset. And that's kind of the definition of the whole show, is how did we shift our mindset to lean back onto our value, lean back onto our adversity, to push through those tough moments, to make those changes, to play with that fire while staying rooted in your earth. And so I really appreciate the story there. I really appreciate the connection, and how awesome that you got to do a TED Talk. I think that's an incredible thing to be a part of, because it's all about the impact that you have from it. And people are going to listen to that for a long, long time. Now, I don't have a segment to play for this last one here, but alchemists, we're getting into listener questions, where I've put on my social media, if you've got questions for me and an upcoming guest, to send them my way. And I'll make sure to ask a couple in our recording episodes, where we'll let Steve, you can take a crack at the question. I'll take a crack at the question, and we'll see if we can help some of the questions that are coming in.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it, man.
All right, I'll just pull it up really quick here. And the first one that I think we'll talk about says, have you ever had a moment where you thought this might be the end of the road, but somehow kept going? And what pushed you through?
End of the road, we keep going. Yeah. When I was a superintendent, I'll be honest with you, I did not enjoy being a superintendent. But at the time, your mindset is, well, this is the progression. You do teacher to supervisor to vice principal to principal, assistant superintendent, superintendent. What else is there? This is, but at a certain point, I'm like, no, wait, I've been speaking on the side. I can do this. There's some other options here. I can, at a certain point, you feel like you kind of outgrow your district, you outgrow your school, and it's like, you got to find something. I was just talking to a friend the other day about what the opportunities of growth within the school, but there's even more opportunities of growth within the world of education. So yeah, I thought that was it, but I kind of kept pushing and kind of, again, self-reflection, and where to go.
I think that's fair. And, I think of this question too, and, it's tough to answer, because I feel like I'm at the younger or the earlier stage of my career still.
Yeah.
And a fairly new school principal, I would say. And still fairly new into education, not quite 10 years. I'm at 7. So to say that I've felt I'm at the end, it's kind of a no, but there are moments where I felt like maybe that I wasn't right for it. So I remember applying for several leadership roles, vice principal roles, principal roles, and, not getting in the interview, or getting the interview and not getting the job, or, being told, you're right there. And, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, is what I kept hearing back. Right. And when you hear those things at a younger age, it does feel like the end of the road, because you question, well, when is that when happening? Because I want that when to be now. That's why I put my name in for this thing. And what pushed me through is the idea of, well, I'm not going to let being told no stop me from trying, because the worst that's going to happen is I'm just going to be told a not yet again, right? Or I'm not going to be contacted at all. And so to keep pushing me forward is, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to go from teacher to principal, eventually here to an assistant superintendent, to a superintendent, to very similar to what you're doing right now in the consulting and the keynote speaking. But that being said, I also recognize that along the way, I'm building skill, and I'm content to stay in a specific phase and build the skills I can to support people there. So, what helps me push through, I hope we're getting to the point of the question here, is how are we pushing through when you think you're at the end of something? It's the idea of, who's told you you're at the end, right? Is it you that's telling you you're at the end, or is it somebody else that's telling you at the end? Because if somebody's telling you at the end, whether it's you or someone else, you're wrong. Because it's not the end. There's always more to go.
Always an option. There really is an option. It's just a matter of if you're bold enough, if you're skilled enough, if you're ready enough to make that shift, that change, that turn, that step.
That's right.
Make it to the next level.
Yeah. All right. And one more here, Steve, will take on is, what's a moment from your journey that completely changed how you see your role as a leader or an educator?
Moment in my journey. I think, going back to the story of where I was talking about the data, the students moving into higher level of math, that was such a profound moment for me to see the power of inspiration, the power of influence, the power of motivation to help people move to the next level, to do things that they never thought they could do before. That was a big shift in my leadership, in my understanding of people. And, especially with culture and climate, as much as we talk about culture and climate, we want it. There's an inspiration side to this. You have to inspire people. You got to move people's mindset from a compliance mindset to a commitment mindset. So knowing that shifted things for me a great deal. That was cataclysmic in my leadership journey.
And I'm going to go back to something completely not related to my work in education, but it's when I had kids. So I have a kid that's 3 and a kid that's 8 months now, well, almost 9 months. But when we had our 3-year-old, it totally shifted the way that I viewed parents, the way that I viewed other kids, and specifically kids that needed love, right?
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing to understand without having kids yourself, but to understand that everybody comes from somewhere and everybody's somebody's baby. And to really see that parents are always fighting for what they feel is right or just for their kids, and to acknowledge that and to start the conversations with that, it completely changes that idea of working against each other to working collaboratively. And that shift of how, you mentioned it as one of your values, is how can we work together and establish teamwork here? Well, it's to root yourself in that common value of we're doing what's best for your kid, right? Because we care, because we want what's best for them. And so, I wouldn't say that I didn't have that before, but I feel like I understand it at a whole nother level now that I have my own kids.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
So, Steve, it has been my pleasure connecting with you. How can our audience get in touch with you if they would like to learn more or reach out for their own consulting or potentially book you as a speaker?
Yeah, absolutely. It's everything revolves around Stand Tall Steve. So you go to standtallsteve.com. That is my website. All of my social medias is at Stand Tall Steve. Just look me up. All the things. A lot of the books that I have, they're available on my website. You can click there and make your way to getting a lot of those on the different platforms they are on. But yeah, that's the way to do it. Everything from keynote speaking to professional development, consulting, coaching. I even do student assemblies, which are kind of cool. They're really out of this world. They're awesome. But I would love to connect with any of the decision makers at the school. Have me come in, help you have a deeper understanding of climate and culture, make some purposeful changes so that you can stand tall through it all. That's what it's all about.
And Alchemists, will make sure that all of that again is linked in the show notes and description of the show. And as we wrap up our episode, as always, I just want to take a moment and share my appreciation for your listenership. You're the reason that the show is here. You're the inspiration for it. We want to help impact on a global scale, create that teamwork of better leadership, better together. And I hope that our journey today sparks some points of interest for you. To dive deeper, make sure you're subscribing to our monthly newsletter for scholarly insights, actionable strategies, and an in-depth analysis of each episode. Just reach out in our Instagram DMs for the link. And Steve, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to connect, collaborate, and empower us all through your lived experiences.
You're welcome so much. I had a great time. Love the games. Keep it going and do all the best that you can for all those wonderful people out there and all your listeners. You're alchemists.
Thanks for sticking around to the end of the show. If you have feedback, a suggestion, or just want to start a conversation, fire off an email to me, Tyler at elementaleducator.com. I actually read them. And if this episode sparked something, leave a review on Apple or Spotify. It helps more leaders find the show. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, where I put out additional content. I'll see you next time, same place.